Um, Before I introduce Priya, just a couple quick things. So we're recording this session as we always do. We'll send out the video along with a thank you email and some follow-up contact info after this. We also have a Q&A box and a chat box. So we're going to have Priya's presentation first. Feel free to throw your questions in as you go, and then we'll do a Q&A session after she's done. We also have Brad Martin here from Design Manager, who many of you have probably known for many years. So if you have any questions specifically about the software, he's here. He can answer your questions in the chat or afterwards. So thanks again for being here. We're joined today by Priya Srinivasan. So Priya has been a CPA for over 15 years. She works specifically with smaller businesses, and a big focus of hers is interior design firms. So she knows what she's talking about here. What I really appreciate about Priya is that she doesn't just talk about numbers. She thoroughly understands how design businesses run and how they operate. And she knows how you can feel stuck and overwhelmed in certain situations. So she knows how to help you move past that. She's also just a really kind, warm, lovely person. So thank you so much, Priya, for being here.
Thank you, Fiona. Excited to be here, and hopefully, I can share some tips and help people understand the connection between accounting and taxes and what we are looking for at the end of the year to prepare the tax return.
Right. Amazing. Okay, so today we're going to cover a few main topics. What you can do if your books are not closed yet, so what actually matters, what CPAs or accountants really need from you, and what are the gaps that most designers commonly miss, and what are some habits that you can put into effect for tax season next year to make things easier. All right, so Priya, let's get started.
Mhm.
Why do you think so many designers avoid organizing their numbers and they push accounting into the back burner? Like, even if they care deeply about running their business, why do they push this off?
I think the interior design business is a very complex business. You have delayed orders, you have clients not paying on time, and interior designers are more focused on catering to their clients. They want their work product to look good, they want their clients to be happy. So all their focus is there. So accounting and bookkeeping and taxes go down the list. It's the paint samples I have in my kitchen for over 6 months. I haven't looked at it. I rather do tax work because I love to do this. So it's basically what you like to do comes in the forefront, and what is not so pleasant just goes down the list. So I don't think it's on purpose. It's because so many other things happen in the interior design business that take precedence over accounting and numbers.
Right. Yeah, you don't have your taxes banging down your door in emails like you do with clients and builders. So
Yes,
I
exactly.
get that. So one of the most common things that we hear from designers this time of year, end of February, is my books are not closed yet. Am I already too late? What do you
And
say?
the answer to that is almost always no. You're never too late, right? I mean, it's the very fact you're thinking about it, I think is a great step. I mean, the fact that you're thinking you're late in February, that's great. So I would say use that as a tool for next year. But at this point, so it's February, 2025 is over. What can I do, right? I would say just follow the money. Where did I make my money from? Where did I spend my money? Just think of it on those two big buckets and see if you can, okay, I made money from 5 projects. All that money went into my PayPal account. It went into my Venmo account, whatever it went into, or it went into my bank account, which would be ideal. Um, but that's where, see if you can get that information, right? We are not looking to be accurate to the penny, but I need to know whether you made $10,000 or $100,000, right? If that 10,000 is 10,201, I'm not so worried. But instead of 10,000, you give me $10, I'm very worried, right? So we need to understand what your money is. So we're not looking for perfection, we're looking for completeness. So get whatever you can in terms of all your income, in terms of all your expenses. Try to gather that first, because As a CPA, we cannot help you as we do not understand any of this. We don't know how much money you made, how much you spent. So you have to give us that information first. So I think that will be the very first step. If I were in your shoes and I haven't closed my books, I'll start doing that.
Okay. So basically, expenses and revenue just
Revenue
all together.
altogether. Just, I mean, that's you have to start somewhere, right? So start small. All my money is where did my money go? Did it go to Venmo? Did it go to PayPal? Did it go to Stripe? Did it go into my bank account? Where did it go from? See if I can go download statements for the last year, however far you can go. Request it. More than 6 months, they'll want an email. You'll have to request it. At least start that process. Call your CPA or call an accountant and say, it's February 15th. I'm not closed. My books are not ready. Can you file an extension? The extension is just a planning tool. So it's not the end of the world. I think use the extension to your advantage and gather all your documents.
So it's better to file an extension and get everything very squared away than to rush it and do it incorrectly.
I would not do the second option, rushing it and do. The problem with rushing it and doing it is you're going to make assumptions, right? Like I said, if you might miss a statement where you had $10,000 of project cost and you didn't get that statement, so you didn't tell your CPA about it, so you're losing that tax deduction and you end up paying more tax. Yes, the return can be amended within 3 years, but that's extra cost and extra work for both you and the CPA, right? So the extension is a planning tool, right? For we have many clients where we tell them in June of the previous year, your return will be extended. And that goes out in the engagement letter. We use it to plan. So because January to March is such a small window, you cannot get all your work done. There's no way. So you plan for it and say, okay, you will be done this, but we estimate the taxes due and we pay it ahead of time. So the extension doesn't really hinder and cause taxes, interest and penalties.
Oh, I see. Okay. So you still pay something up front and then you sort it out later to like finalize all the numbers.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Because the extension, as per the IRS, right, is only an extension of time to file and pay. Your taxes are still due on April 15th or March 15th or whatever your due date is. So the minute they don't see that money on 4/15, interest starts calculating from 4/15, right? So that is still the due date of the return. The extension is basically, I need 6 more months to gather all this, but I think I'll owe $5,000. Here I'm depositing $5,000. So again, it's an estimate. It's not actuals.
Great. Super helpful because then if designers do what you're saying and they gather all the main income and main
Expense.
expenses, they don't have to worry about every receipt, every detail right away because that can be totally paralyzing.
Exactly. We don't need like the every Uber receipt classified as travel expense or transportation expense. No, we don't need it. As long as you know I made maybe 200,000, I spent about 120,000 in that ballpark. You tell your CPA it's about 80,000 of income. He'll tell you what the tax is due. You paid by April 15th, get the extension. Then you don't get penalized because you've already paid something by 4/15 or 3/15, and then you get all their documents together. You have time over the summer to gather it, get it all organized. And also CPAs, I'm part of this group, but unfortunately, they're not very nice January to March 15th. People don't return phone calls. It's hard because it's crunch time for us, right? So we are super busy and under the gun all the time. So, but in June, you'll immediately get a call back.
Okay, got it. Great. All right. So aside from expenses and income, what are some other key things that CPAs could really use from designers so they can do their job well?
So I would say, like, if you haven't met with your CPA before, and I'll go back to this, taxes is a year-round, accounting and taxes is a year-round thing you have to pay attention to. Paying attention to it between January and April is really hard, both for you and for your accountant, because after the year is over, I can't give you any advice that's valuable and can be implemented because the year is already over. The books are closed. But if you had come to me in September and I could have told you, oh my God, your profit is so high, maybe we can think of a retirement plan. Maybe we can think of something else we can do before the end of the year to save on taxes, right?
Mhm.
So I can offer more relevant advice that will help you with your tax planning if I had met with you before December 31st. But after December 31st, I will only have to take the numbers you give me and put it in the tax form and submit it to the IRS. So I cannot change anything that happened in the past, right? So
Mhm.
for that reason, I strongly recommend people to reach out to their accountants, bookkeepers, who are they dealing with to help with this tax situation, like in July or August of the previous year. If it's year round, that's wonderful. I mean, if you meet with them, like we tell our clients quarterly once, I have to meet with you. Did you go to a new state? Did you get married? Did you have a kid? I mean, there are so many life events that happen. How do we plan for that unless I hear from you?
Mhm. Yep.
Mm.
Absolutely. Or did you hire someone new? Or
Yeah.
yeah, constantly changing and shifting makes your job much easier.
And or if your cash flow is bad, right? How do we control expenses? Or if you need to buy that AutoCAD license in 2 months for those two new employees, how do we plan for it, right? Being ahead is so much better than being after the event, right? So I can plan for it. Yes, everything might not go as per plan, but at least 80 to 90% will if you plan for it ahead of time.
Okay, great. Um, is there anything you can think of that actually matters less to a CPA than most people think?
Um, I would say, like the IRS won't agree with me, but you don't need to have every little receipt, right? I mean, if you have like I don't have the Uber receipt from January, I didn't scan it, it's faded, I can't see it, it's
Right.
$25.34.
Yeah.
With material, I really don't care, right? But so it doesn't matter that you don't have every receipt, but you have a credit card statement that showed you spend money on Uber. You have some other form of verification, right? Again, if you ever get audited, the IRS might ask for you, but in the big picture, right? It's a $25. Is it material in comparing the money you made and the money you spent? Maybe not. So it will not cause penalties or interest if at all it comes to that, right? Because it's a small item, right? But if your project cost, you went, you were traveling, you found a rug which you thought would be great for a client, you paid it out of your personal credit card instead of the business credit card, it was a $10,000 rug. Oh yeah, that's going to matter. So
Yeah.
those kind of things you have to let us know that we will not have information on your personal credit card. You have to tell us that that was spent on my personal credit card. So
Yeah, that
that's
actually segues really well into the next question. So it sounds like this is something that happens quite a bit. Something like using your personal card for spending money on the business, on things like mileage, like gas mileage, sourcing, inventory. What are some examples that you've seen show up very often that people need to pay attention to?
yes. So the example which I just spoke about, right? The reason being, right, that $10,000 in the example I just said, which I spent, or it could be a auto mileage, whatever it is, right? That's money you are bringing into the business, right? That's not a taxable item at all. That is money either the business has to repay you, one, or it's treated as capital in the business. So that is not a taxable item at all. So you want to be careful. You code it that way in your books or in the tax records so you get the benefit for it later on, right? So that the money you're putting in, and then obviously the expense for the project will also get recorded at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
So that's one, I think, the personal and business combining. And then also people miss things like mileage. Most of them work out of their home office. And then it's like, do you have a dedicated space? Are you spending for internet? Are you spending for your cell phone? Are you spending for utilities? Or did you buy a computer for your home office? Did you buy a desk? Did you buy a lamp? I mean, it's
Mhm.
just for the home office. I'm sure they spent money to make the home office in a place where they can work at, right? So there's definitely expenses, but people forget to include that. So I've so when we ask the questions, then they start bringing, oh, I spend this, and then if I total it, it's a good chunk of change, which again you miss out, right? If you don't record it, then you don't get the tax break for it.
Right. And things like overhead for a home office, they do add up. And they're not too difficult to calculate because you can just look at your card and pick out each,
Exactly.
one time the charge and multiply it by 12 for the year.
Exactly. Most times, and those we can actually use estimates, right? We usually say, okay, you're using how big is your house? How much is your home office space? Okay, this is 25% of your home office of the house, sorry, 25% of the house. So we'll take 25% of all utilities. So that really adds up when you finally calculate it. And then that check, we'll make the business write a check to you in your personal name, or we'll code it as capital. If the business doesn't have money, then 2 years down the road, when the business has money, you can take that money out.
Yeah, amazing.
So, and all these are tax free, right? I mean, the money you're taking out will be tax free because you already spent it personally. You're just showing it as a business expense, right?
Right. Yeah, so it lowers your income.
Exactly.
Is there anything else you can think of that designers consistently forget or underestimate when they're
Uh,
doing?
I would say it's basically the what I've seen is the mixing of the business and personal, home office expenses, mileage, right? Because you're constantly going to showrooms and tracking that is hard. I get it. So I tell clients maybe use your Outlook calendar, and if you know you went somewhere for a client meeting, you can use Google Maps, find the distance. There's a standard mileage rate. So you can just use the standard mileage rate, calculate it, or have somebody, have an intern or somebody assistant in your office, take your Outlook calendar and just do that Excel for you, right? We just need some sort of backup because those trips add up. I think this year the rate is 72 cents a mile. So the IRS reimbursable rate is 72 cents a mile.
Wow. Yeah, that adds up quickly.
Yeah, it adds up very. So again, those you're anyway using your vehicle for business purposes, so why not take the tax break for it?
Mm-hmm. Yep, good advice. Okay, so we've made it clear that tax season doesn't start in April. That's like a misconception. So if there's a designer out there today who wants to make sure that next year is going to be a lot more calm and manageable, what are a couple habits that you can encourage them to start right now?
I would say simplify what you're doing, right? I mean, um, if you want a little bit control, start with one bank account, one credit card. I know there are concepts like profit first. We'll talk about 5 bank accounts and put your profit in one account, tax in one account, operating. Again, you're increasing your workload. If you have help and support, all that works. If you're the only person doing the designing, the marketing, the accounting, the taxes, fixing something that's broken, calling the freight company. No, that's too much work for you. So try to simplify what you have in terms of accounting so you can at least manage what's going on. So have one bank account, one credit card, process everything through that. Do that for a couple of years. Once you get into the rhythm, then you can definitely open more. Opening more is easy, going down is difficult, right? So start slow and then you can grow. That's one. I would always, any of my clients who are starting off, I say start small, start with one credit card, one bank account, and then it's easy to pull, right? It's easy to pull statements. It's just one bank. Second thing I'll tell them is it's still your business, it's your money. We are consultants. Your tax preparer is a consultant. You will have other consultants helping you. Nobody will care for the business and money as much as you do. How much ever I say it, if I say something else, I'm not being truthful, right? It's my business. I will care for it more than anybody else, right? So, from that perspective, look at your numbers, right? It's so important to look at your numbers. You don't have to look at it every day, but weekly once. I say Finance Friday. Set aside 1 hour on Friday or half an hour on Friday. Look at the numbers. See if it makes sense. See if it relates to what happened. Oh, I built that big project, $50,000 last week. Ah, that's the money that's showing in income. Is it actually showing? If it's not showing, ask your bookkeeper or tax accountant why is that happening, right? Whatever is happening on reality should be reflected in the books. And if you don't understand it, ask the question and ask them to explain it to you so that you understand. I think
Right.
that is so important. Owners have to understand their numbers. Only then they can make concrete decisions on those numbers, right? But can I hire a person? Can I invest in the software? Can I take the money which is there in the bank account, right? Can I just withdraw it, right? Things like that will become easier. And obviously, for taxes, start early. So doing your bank recs monthly, looking at your numbers monthly, talking to your tax accountant once a quarter. All those are steps that make April 15th a lot less stressful.
Right. Yeah, great advice. And it's very true about having just one credit card. It makes things much easier because it's hard enough to find time to go over and look at your accounts and check the credit card statement.
Exactly.
I can't tell you how many times I've waited too long and gone and checked, and there's an app that I was paying for that I didn't know about for several months, or there was a charge I didn't recognize. It's so much better to just do it early.
And with the everything is do it yourself, right? I have to go to Chase. I have to go download the statements. If I go late, it's only 6 months. Then I have to call customer service. I have to wait in line.
Yeah,
I'm making my own life a little
it
harder,
sucks.
right?
Yeah, no, it's the worst. And it stresses you out too. If you're like, oh, this
Exactly.
happened months ago. So one of the reasons Design Manager wanted to host this conversation was because so many of these habits we're talking about just come down to having better systems in place, especially around things like tracking income, tracking expenses,
Mm.
generating reports. So Priya, tell us how people can get more organized with this kind of thing.
Um, I would say using a software definitely is like a big plus. And something like Design Manager, it's got good internal controls. It's a good software for interior design, right? You can track cost and profitability by each reference number. I sold a pillow to this client. What was the profit only on the pillow? I might have sold 100 pillows, but I want to see the profit on the living room pillow. Did I make money or do lose money? Things like that are important to know so that you know next time, okay, I didn't make money. I have to raise the price on this, right? How do I know that? It has to be in a report I can look at, and then I can make a decision, right? That is the step. That is why accounting is important, because I know when my business is not doing so well, so I can course correct, right? So I have to make changes. I have to reduce expenses, increase income, whatever that is. But I need good data for that. I have to look at data that is true and correct. And that is only available when you use a software like Design Manager or any other accounting software. But you need something where you're regularly feeding in data, looking at reports.
Right. Yeah, because you may think you're making revenue on selling something, but if the margin is so slim, by the time you add the overhead and everything else, then you might have broken even or even lost money.
Exactly.
So you need to keep all of that in one place. So on that note, we have Brad Martin here. He's the director of client success for Design Manager. So Brad, without turning this into a whole product demo, can you share a few ideas of how having cleaner, more organized data can make the job of a CPA much easier when working with designers?
Yeah, for sure. And Priya, it was like you were reading my mind on some of the advice you were giving. So I will echo some of that sentiment. Um, eh, Getting ready for tax time is a year-round job, right? So if you haven't done anything, just as Priya said, start small. You get your statements in your email, download them, put them in a tax folder. Okay, start simple. All right, well, you've already got the statement. Enter those transactions into Design Manager, right? You're getting your bills in, at least putting those in, and you can reconcile those accounts in Design Manager as well, right? You start invoicing your clients on a regular basis. Reconciling those accounts ensures that at least your credit cards and your checking accounts are accurate, right? A little thing, but done. And you have those transactions in and they're saved, they're ready for the CPA. And doing that strengthens all of the information already in Design Manager. So you can use the information that you're putting in and take very very simple reports and devise so much information from them. So quite honestly, there are 5 reports that you could start focusing on once you put your information in. If you focus on the accounts receivable report, which lists all invoices for your clients that are yet unpaid, the client owes you the money. You're gonna remember those. That's under your accounts receivable reports. Your open client deposits, that's a big one. Those are funds the client has sent you that has not yet been applied to a client invoice. All right, so they gave you the money, you're going to apply it to an invoice ultimately and close those funds out. 2 of those are on accounts receivable reports. Then there's 3 on your accounts payable reports, the vendor side. Your aged accounts payable shows the bills that you've entered but not yet paid in Design Manager. You owe the vendors those funds eventually. There's also the open vendor deposit report. Those are funds you've given to the vendor as an act of good faith to get the order processed, usually 50%, 75, etc. And finally, your work in process report. Very important. Those are the goods and services that you have actually purchased and yet not invoiced your client. 5 reports. If those reports are accurate, and as Priya said, if you can do that on a monthly basis, you are ahead of 90% of your competitors out there. Believe me. If they are accurate, those 5 reports all lead up into the balance sheet, one of the classic financial statements. It's an indication of the fiscal health of your company. Those 5 reports are accurate, your balance sheet is going to be accurate. Probably. If your balance sheet is accurate, you're probably going to have your income statement accurate as well. And what this does is you spend devote your regular amount of time per week to enter in your accounting information, as Priya suggested. Then not only are these tools ready and you have everything properly saved, ready to go for your accountant, because as Priya said, they're going to be busy in February and they're not going to be able to take every call. You're giving them all this info. Then you can take it to the next level, right? You can see, hey, traditionally, October, we have big expenditures. We go to High Point or something along those lines, and we're going to spend a lot of money. So you can forecast that through. And in Design Manager, you can actually budget your income statement accounts. Like, hey, traditionally, we do sales in these months, or we have large expenditures in these other months. So you can see where you need to spend wisely or save wisely. And as Priya said, when you start entering in the information into Design Manager at that minute level, we can literally track, hey, how profitable was one of the 3 fabrics that you may have used on a window treatment? We track everything down to the component level. So you have absolutely accurate job costing. And it gives you ensuring that all of those accounts are accurate, your balance sheet, income statement are healthy. That's how you can get qualified for loans. That's how you can see if you're should be, hey, I have enough time and I have extra additional funds. Maybe I can get some additional help in here. Further, you can look at all your profitability reports and say, I thought I was going to make 40% on that project, but I made 28%. What went wrong? Where were my losses and costs? Design Manager will tell you that, so you can correct them, or you can raise your prices, whatever it may be. Perhaps you're underestimating your hourly rate to the competition out there. All of that can be done with really good, accurate, regular data entry into Design Manager because all of the tools are there. And any information on those 5, we call them the 5 monthly journals, reconciling your accounts, just email our team, support Design Manager. We'll give you all the info, tools, hand holding you need to do so, and it won't seem that overwhelming. Regular data entry, regular review, and tax time will be better. Just take control of it, and you'll have such a better idea of how strong your company is.
Amazing. Thanks, Brad. Yeah, it's a good habit to get into. You just do this every month, every week, whatever. The system basically acts as your bookkeeper, and you don't need to worry about spreadsheets anymore, and you don't need to have a minor panic attack at tax time again.
Absolutely. You use the software. Excel sheets are great. Let them be their own. Put all your info into Design Manager. Use the tool for what it's there for. You'll find it's going to give you amazing insight into your business.
Okay, thanks, Brad. So if we have any questions from people, throw them in the chat. or the Q&A box. I have one question here for you, Priya. What do I do if my personal and business accounts are mixed?
Hmm. File an extension now, and then I would I I would strongly recommend you sit with your accountant and separate it out, because that's a lot of money you're going to pay taxes on. If my friend lent me $1,000 and that's coming as income in my business, no, I don't want to pay taxes on a loan, first of all, and that too from a friend. No. So if you give the books as is to your accountant, they're going to just take all the income, they're going to take it as all the money coming in, they're going to take it as income, which again, it's easy to do a tax return with incorrect information. It's very easy. But the problem is you end up owing a lot of money in taxes. That is why I always say, do we have the correct data? The data has to be right, right? Otherwise, none of us want to pay extra money where it's not needed, right?
Hmm. Yeah, of course. So if you are a firm that hasn't worked with an accountant before, or maybe is setting up a new meeting for the first time, what are
Mhm.
some of the documents and some information that you should bring to your first meeting with a CPA for the year?
Um, I would say, I mean, the documents are good, but the first meeting, I think I would rather talk to the client. Explain your business. Explain how do you receive your money? How do you spend your money? Do you have 5 bank accounts? Do you do Venmo? Do you do PayPal? I mean, then I can give you a list. Okay, you use A, B, C, D, E. These are all the statements I need, right? Because um, as when you are coming in, you might not know all the things we will need, right? So I think the first conversation is super important, but basically we'll need um, what type of entity are you? Where is your IRS EIN number? What's your state ID number? Do you file sales tax? In which states are you registered in? We need all those numbers. Um, if you are a partnership, do you have the partnership agreement? If you're an S corp, do you have the S corp election? So this is all surrounding who this entity is. It's got nothing to do with accounting, right? Who are you, right? So we need all those documents, and then we need who are the owners. Uh, have they filed taxes? Up to when have they filed taxes? Copy of last year's returns. That's all again relating to the entity taxes. Then your accounting records. So where do you have accounting? I mean, do you use Excel? Do you use QuickBooks? Do you use Studio? Do you use Design Manager? What do you use for accounting? Or is it just where I did have experience where a person told me, I have a notebook. Everything is recorded in a notebook. Okay.
Paper.
So
Old-fashioned paper.
yeah. And she gave me 3 notebooks, and she said she was very detailed, which was amazing. But for every project, she had incoming, she had outgoing, and she had net profit. And she said this went into Venmo, this went into my personal bank account. It was a
Wow.
mess, right? I mean, we could figure it out, but it was so much time and money, which I don't think is necessary, right? If you had it in one business account, it would have saved her a lot of money.
Right, because if they don't have it all organized, they have to pay you to basically input it and do all that work, right?
Exactly, which is technically something which we will do and most accountants will do, but why do you want to pay for that? I'm like, I in my right mind, I'll tell you, get it organized and come to me, right? So you don't end up paying double what it really costs to do a tax return.
Right. I remember the first time I had to do my taxes as a solopreneur designer. I think I
Mhm.
was 22 or 23, and I just brought a shoebox full of receipts to this accountant down the street and had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
He was like, "This is not
You,
what you do."
yeah, but at least you had the receipts, right? You had a start.
Turns out I ate a lot of sushi that year. Um, okay, so what are some reports that designers should be reviewing monthly?
This is a question for Brad. Me.
Yeah, maybe. Do you want me to ask it again, Brad?
Monthly reports?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yes. Again, I several recommendations, right? You want to have your checking and credit card accounts reconciled. Not really a report, more of a process. There is a reconciliation report that goes with that. But at a minimum, I've placed this in the chat too. There are 5 reports that I mentioned prior: the aged accounts receivable, aged accounts payable, open client deposit, open vendor deposit, work in process. Those provide, again, great analysis of the fiscal strength of the company, and they lead directly into the balance sheet. I would then print the balance sheet out along with its other side, the income statement, or also known as the profit and loss. Those reports, just to begin with, if you're monitoring those on a regular basis, you're way ahead of the game. Design Manager has hundreds of other reports that can provide additional insight, such as your sales journal to see how much you sold to the clients in a particular fiscal period, your purchases journal, which shows how much you spent in a particular fiscal period. But I always index on those 5 reports and then the classic financial statements of the income statement and balance sheet. Every month, if you do that, you are way ahead of the game.
Perfect. Okay, thanks, Brad. Another question here. Can you discuss best practices and appropriate accounts for documenting things like fabric and rug sample expenses or items that you use in a showroom that get worn out? So I guess things that you're using for more than one client.
Yeah, sample expense is a valid line item in your cost of goods sold. So you can definitely write it off as a sample expense.
Okay. And in terms of how you operate, Priya, like if you're working with a firm, do you go into their software accounts like Design Manager or whatever and work within it, or do you only work with the documents that the designers are exporting and sending to you?
We typically work with the software because that's how I'm able to look at original data entry and see if there were errors and things like that. One common issue which I've seen is people coding things to the wrong month, right? So they are in January, but they're entering December transactions, but they forget to change the date to December. So that causes an imbalance. So things like that I wouldn't know until I go into the software. We typically work with the software because then we can fix it right then and there inside the software, and the reports that print out show accurate data.
Okay, great. So
That's a
best
great
practice.
point there, Fiona. We should discuss that for a second. As a preferred partner, Priya can access her client's Design Manager, and that does not cost a license. So you're allowing the Priya to come in and her team to review your information without paying anything additional to Design Manager. So that is a great benefit as well.
Right. So best practice would be use the software, like an accounting software for designers, and then have an accountant as well. And you're going to make sure you catch all the mistakes and stay on top of things. Presentation freezing up. No, I think we're
I
okay
haven't
on the
noticed.
presentation. So Lisa, we'll send you the recording and you can watch it. You might just be having internet issues. Um, and then Brad, do you want to speak a little bit about Design Pay? Because this is a slightly newer feature with Design Manager, and not everyone may be aware of the benefits of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what Design Pay allows you as a design firm to do is to provide your clients proposals, invoices, even a request for retainer, and allow them to pay online, either via credit card, ACH, or both. And those funds will automatically go into your Design Manager. So you're getting your funds faster and you're reducing your overall accounting. Design Manager will do all of those transactions for you. So you can ensure yourself that, as Priya said, it's posted into the right period, it's closing the right invoice, it's taking care of all of that for you. There are, of course, fees associated with that. You have the option to, almost like a reimbursable expense, pass those fees on. They get directly invoiced to your client for you. So you get charged the fee and you charge your client in turn. All automated. So it streamlines your accounting, gets you paid faster, reduces your accounting. Great feature. Any information you like about that, just email our team at support@designmanager.com. We'll be glad to help.
Yeah, it's a great new feature. Thanks, Brad. Someone else is asking if the topics covered today are compatible with Canadian market, Canadian taxes. Priya, I'll let you answer that.
I do not think so. And full disclosure, I am a US tax accountant. I have no experience in Canada, but as far as I know, no, I don't think. I mean, the reports in Design Manager might be, but for Canadian taxes, that's a totally different ballgame.
Yeah, we are not honed for the Canadian tax structure. So concepts of VAT and those types of things are not innate into Design Manager. And I know certain provinces you have to have VAT listed on proposals and purchase orders and things like that. That's not something that we've honed the software to yet. We are thinking of putting more emphasis on the international markets, but by and large, it is designed for a US accounting system for taxes.
Right. We have a question, I think, going back to Design Pay. What does it look like when the client receives an email requesting payment?
I can send an example of that. Just email the team at support@designmanager.com. We'll be happy to provide you examples of what it looks like, exactly what the client receives and how they can process that.
Great, thank you. Another question. Design Manager runs my books on an accrual basis. My accountant likes to report my taxes on a cash basis. She has to convert everything at the end of the year. Is there a way to switch Design Manager into cash basis?
There's not a cash-based mode, right? So by GAAP accounting, accrual is the preferred and designated accounting model for interior designers because the project can extend so long. So there is a very, I don't want to say simple, but there's a very procedural journal entry or entry that the CPA would make at the end of the year to sort of convert the financials into a cash basis at the end of the year. Priya's probably done it a million times, and then reverse that back out. So there's not a mode that turns it into cash, but we do have documentation if anyone needs it on how to do so for your accountant, and any accountant worth their salt can can quickly do so as well.
Great, thank you. Let's see. I don't see any other questions. We got a shout out for Design Pay. Thank you, Valerie. Anybody else have anything they'd like to ask Priya or Brad?
Great questions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I think that covers most of it, unless there's one last one. But thank you so much, Priya. This has been incredibly helpful. I think it's really helped make like a stressful topic feel manageable for people. So, for everyone who's here today, if you're starting from scratch or, just trying to come with goals for next year, this is all great habits to learn. We'll send you some follow-up resources, and definitely feel free to reach out to Priya if you need help with your taxes or need a CPA. Reach out to Brad at support for any questions about DM. If there's people who are not current users, we do a free trial, great training, great customer support. So we're always happy to welcome new customers. So there's some contact information here. Existing customers can speak to Brad. Anyone new can speak to Brett Harmon here. And Priya's contact is included as well. So thanks again, everyone. Thanks for joining as well. And I hope everyone has a good rest of the week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.